Fiancé's friend wants to wear an almost white dress to our wedding and is being condescending about it. Would I be the a-hole for withdrawing the invite? Essentially, my fiancé has a friend from college whom I have only met once. I was never a huge fan of her because she has been snarky with me in the past, but he wanted to invite her and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend is a fun guy, and his friends still like her, so I was fine with it. My fiancé and she are not close anymore, so we were loosely considering inviting them and decided it could not hurt. I really did not think much of it until yesterday, when she posted a clothing haul on Instagram. She pulled out this very almost white gown and claimed she would be wearing it to a wedding in June. Our wedding is in June. I replied to her post and said exactly the following: I love that white set you showed. I might have to snag it myself. For the dress, though, is that what you plan to wear to our wedding? She replied, yep. Nothing else, just yep. I asked my bridal party what their thoughts were, and every single person said this was outrageous. None of us are particularly conservative, but the cut feels a little bit much for a wedding. However, I could easily overlook that in exchange for it not being so close to white. On camera, especially, it looked very white, so I am sure this will photograph as white. I responded and asked if she would be able to find it in another color, and she said, no, I will be wearing this or I just will not come. It is a yellow dress, sweetie, calm down. I have not replied yet, and my fiancé does not know any of this is happening. However, I am very strongly considering withdrawing their invite with my fiancé's blessing, which I am sure I will have since we were on the fence about inviting them in the first place. It is not even just the dress color, but the fact that she is trying to call the shots on our day and continues to be so snarky to me that rubs me the wrong way. Would I be the a-hole if we decided to cancel their invite? A photo of the dress is attached. I can sort of see how it could be considered yellow, but it still just seems way too close to white for my liking. Final update: it was heavily requested that I update my post from yesterday, and honestly, who am I to disappoint? I received tons of feedback, from people giving me ideas on how to spite her to people calling me a raging control freak for wanting guests to follow a dress code at a wedding my fiancé and I are spending a lot of money on so it can be a good experience for both us and all of our adored guests. I know I do not have to, but I do want to defend myself a little bit. Skip ahead if you do not care, of course. While I can see the side of people having autonomy over their clothing, I stand by my belief that it is reasonable to have a standard of dress for your guests. If a guest cannot afford something suitable for the dress code, the majority of our guests know they can contact me, we can work something out, or help them get something they are comfortable in that still fits the vibe. Additionally, we were advised by our venue to enforce a dress code, which they said protects their reputation. Take that how you will. I have never been referred to as a control freak, but if not wanting a guest to wear a white-ish dress to my wedding makes me one, then so be it. My frustration comes more from a place of lack of respect for both myself and our event rather than concern about being upstaged. Intentionally wearing something revealing in white to a wedding is, in my opinion, a show of disrespect. I have absolutely zero concern about being upstaged, regardless of what anyone wears. Someone even said I needed a better designer if that was a concern, but I love my dress, and that is all that matters. I showed my fiancé the original post, and he said, it is like if someone wears muddy sneakers into your brand new Ferrari. You are not worried about them getting more attention because they are wearing muddy sneakers. You are upset because they do not respect your Ferrari and are taking away from what makes it nice. Regarding how I saw her post in the first place, I follow the entire friend group on Instagram and followed her the day I met her. I never unfollowed her. Honestly, even though I do not like her, I do enjoy her shopping content. Obviously this situation ended that, but I did enjoy watching some of her posts. I definitely do not go out of my way to stalk her, as some people have claimed. It showed up on my feed, and I watched it casually. I just happened to get lucky that the post where she mentioned our wedding appeared on my feed. However, we were told by someone else in the friend group who is friends with her that they planned to tell us what she was going to wear since it, again, appeared very white on camera. We would have found out about this eventually because she was pretty obvious about it. A complete stranger even commented on the post and said, "You are wearing a white gown to a wedding? That is a choice." Lastly, a lot of people attacked me for not immediately telling my fiancé about the situation. For context, my fiancé works the night shift, and this all began while he was at work. He came home from work at 6 a.m. and went straight to sleep. I did not want to interrupt him while he was working. What he does is important, and him being distracted could be dangerous for others. I also did not want to prevent him from getting sleep once he was home. I felt that this was not a big enough issue to affect his job or health and that it could wait until that evening. Honestly, I stand by that decision. Now for the real update. Friday night, I showed him the messages and explained what happened. He immediately said, "Absolutely not, and agreed that it was 1. Not following the dress code expressed on our invitation. 2. Way too white for comfort. He was beyond angry about the way she spoke to me and said he would handle it. I wanted to be involved, but as many of you pointed out, it could very easily be spun that I am some crazy bridezilla if I were the one to pull the plug on her coming. He called her on speaker, and she immediately asked if it was about me making a big deal about a dress. He replied, "No, it is about me making a big deal about the dress. You are not wearing that to our wedding." You could tell she was already escalated, and she went off about how she will not allow anyone to tell her what she can and cannot put on her body. He stayed quiet while she ranted for at least a couple of minutes. It took everything in me not to chime in with "calm down." He waited for her to finish and go silent. As soon as she did, he said something along the lines of, "You are no longer invited," and then hung up. About 10 minutes later, someone reached out to us asking for the full story. Apparently, she told one of my fiancé's friends that I freaked out about her dressing like a whore. Mind you, I said nothing about the style of the dress to her, and I have not said anything about her looking like a whore anywhere, including here on Reddit. This post blew up, and she may have seen it at some point, but I know I never said anything like that. A lot of commenters did, though. We explained our stance and that her behavior surrounding everything was unacceptable. We also said we did not want problems on our big day. Everyone seemed to let it go after hearing our side. People who know her are still reaching out and probably will continue to as she goes around telling people her version of events and freaking out. I did want to see if she would blast us on social media, but we have both been blocked, which is honestly fine. All in all, I stand by the fact that having a dress code at a wedding is reasonable. She is no longer coming. There is no word on whether her boyfriend will attend, but I suspect he will not. I plan to move on and simply alert security that she is not to be let in. Thankfully, we will have security and a day of coordinator to handle things if she tries to pull anything crazy, since she does know the venue and date. If anything wild happens, I will update in June. And if you happen to come across an Instagram reel or TikTok of a girl upset that she was uninvited from a wedding because of her dress choice, just know that it might be about my wedding, and the dress was only part of the problem. Thanks to everyone for the helpful advice.